Hello, Rowan. We Damage We's the channel. We're here once again with a tag. Today, it's the F tag. I had been pretty studious in following along with Jim's alphabet tags, but I didn't do the E tag last week because there was just a lot of the prompts I didn't feel like I really had answers or much to say, so I just skipped it. But we're back with a vengeance this week with F. Let's make this happen. F is for France. Who is your favorite French author? Camus, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, for sure, and Michel Houellebecq, who I've only read one book by, but I feel like I'm probably going to really enjoy his other books. I've gotten a couple of them. I've picked up 3 other books by him that I'm excited to read. So, I don't know, one of those. F is for fiction. Approximately what percentage of your reading is fiction? Like 95%, I would say. This year I have read 38 books, and one of them was nonfiction. That was the only plane in the sky, which is an oral history of 9/11. Very good book. I listened to it on audiobook, which was really cool because it had like this big ensemble cast and used like actual recordings from the day. F is for fantasy. Who is your favorite fantasy author? I have made no secrets that I don't really like fantasy very much. Let's say Patrick Rothfuss. I've only read the first one, for Name of the Wind, because I read it and I really liked it. This was in like 2015 or so, 2014. I bought Wise Man's Fear, but I was like, I'm gonna wait to read Wise Man's Fear until the third one comes out, thinking that that was something that was like ever gonna happen. Sorry, Pat. No shade. Writing books are hard. I get it. But yeah, so it's been now 7 years and there's still no sign of the third book coming anytime soon. So I just never read Wise Man's Fear, and but I really like Name of the Wind a lot. It's been so fucking long since I read it, though. I probably have to reread it before I read Wise Man's Fear, because I mean I remember it pretty well, but not that well. Yeah. So that's my answer, Patrick Rothfuss. F is for 5 stars. How many books have been 5-star reads for you this year? That's a great question. On Goodreads, I'll rate things 5 stars even when they're like 4.5 stars, because there's no half-star option on Goodreads. So the true 5-star reads this year, in reverse chronological order of when I read them, have been The Sluts by Dennis Cooper, Negative Space by B.R. Yeager, Serotonin by Michel Houellebecq, Stoner by John Williams, J.R. by William Gaddis, Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy, which was a reread, Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut, which was also a reread, The Seep by Channa Porter, and that's it. That's all of them. There were a number more that I've rated 5 stars on Goodreads that were like more like 4.5 star. 8 out of 38. Not bad at all. I've said before that I'm pretty good at discerning what to read and like only reading things that I will like. I'm pretty confident in my ability to pick books for myself. So, also 2 out of the 8 were rereads. So, F is for funny. Funny has 2 meanings. What book did you find both funny peculiar and funny ha-ha? I'll go with one that I read pretty recently, which is Et tu, Babe by Mark Lehner. This is a postmodernist comic short novel, that's about, in the wake of Mark Lehner having written this relatively well-received short story collection and getting write-ups in places like Rolling Stone. He followed it up with this novel that's about Mark Lehner as the main character becoming the most famous, powerful, important, well-regarded author in the world, like a superstar beyond anyone's wildest imaginations. And he does stuff like he gets all of these octogenarian women from nursing homes and then grafts synthetic muscles onto them to make them buff, so that he has this like army of buff elderly lady bodyguards that guard him. And he hosts writers' workshops, and he asks the writers if they think that they could ever be as good or better of a writer than he is, and if they say yes, then he like kidnaps them and tortures them until they stop writing forever. So it's very weird. It's a very weird book. Very peculiar. It's got a lot of really like off the wall ideas, and it's also very funny. So I think that fits the bill. F is for Fight Club and film adaptation. What book and film adaptation both merited 5 stars in your opinion? One that Jim said that I absolutely agree with is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Book and movie, both amazing. I can't think of any others that I'm like, both are 5-star. I can think of a lot of books where the movie is better than the book, which is this sort of like notion that people have that's impossible, but it's really not true. Like Jim said, Fight Club, and I think the Fight Club the movie is better than the book. F is for flower. What was the last book you read with the name of a flower in the title? I have no idea, so let's just scroll through Goodreads and see if we can find one. Alright, I'm going to cheat a little bit because I had to scroll all the way back to 2015. But I'm going to go with Bow Down by Karen Green. Karen Green is a poet who is best known for being the widow of David Foster Wallace, and this collection was a book of poems that she wrote in the wake of his suicide. It's very good. It's unfortunate that like this is the only reason anyone really knows who she is. And I fully admit that I read this purely out of like a morbid curiosity because of being a Wallace fan. And it's really devastating, but it's very good. But yeah, not a flower, but a bough. That's a part of a tree, and a tree is a plant, so I'm going with it. F is for flash fiction. What are your thoughts or experiences on this medium? I don't really like flash fiction that much. I find that it's hard to say anything really meaningful and impactful when you're constrained like that. It's not impossible, but like in my mind, trying to do a lot with a little is like the benefit of poetry. And like a lot of the times, like, what's the difference between like a prose poem and a piece of flash fiction? Like I think of someone like Russell Edson, who writes exclusively prose poems that are short, half page. I don't know. It's just not for me. Like I read Amelia Gray's collection Gut Shot earlier this year, and there were a couple stories in it that were really good, but overall I was just kind of like meh on the whole thing, and a lot of it was flash fiction, or like, I would call it flash fiction, like 2 pages or less short stories, and they just don't do anything for me. They just leave me feeling kind of like empty. And yeah, it's not impossible, but it's just, I think that it's very hard to do. Oh, and then the secret 10th prompt that was at the end of the video was, is there a better book about burning books than Fahrenheit 451? Not that I know of. I can't even think of another book about burning books. Fahrenheit 451, the reigning champion of book burning books. So yeah, thanks for watching, everybody.